Hey guys, Bridge here. In this video I want to answer a question which I recently received, and that is how to effectively structure a design system and the design files. Now personally I worked on design systems and on design projects for large corporations and also all the way to small startups, and I can tell you that the answer is it depends. And the reason being is that sometimes it's going to be more convenient and faster, more efficient to work on a single file, while other times it's better to divide things up. Now, let me explain. For example, in the very first scenario, we have a large project which is going on, and for example, this is the way that I currently structured the project files in the design system in the current company which I'm working on full time, which is based in the US, large company or medium-sized company, I would say. And the reason why we structured it this way is simply because now, just before we get started, I want to remind you that I recently launched a free course on how to get started in UI UX design. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check it out. And you're also going to receive all the source files from the YouTube tutorials, which I have on my channel. And yeah, without further ado, let's continue with the video. Wanted to have a central design system which even multiple team members can work on at the same time. And basically, since the design system is going to become very large, it's a long-term project, of course, we wanted to dedicate a single file to the design system, since we have a lot of different elements and it's just easier to scale in that way. And then we have different files, for example, for the web app, which is the main dashboards, the website, the iOS app. And then within the web apps, we actually have different files. So it's divided up into multiple design files. So the way that we structured this is essentially in order to create more flexibility around having a design system which we can tweak and upgrade. And then we have all the different design files. So this is actually going to be really useful in order to scale up the project. Now, when it comes to, for example, a smaller project, which can be a short-term contract for a new startup, usually the way that I like to implement this is to have the design system within the same design file. And I'm actually going to give you a real-life example. So, for example, here in this UI kit, which I recently downloaded from UI8 called Planwork, you see a perfect example of what I'm referring to. So basically here, if we zoom in, we can see all of the individual designs of the iOS app. But if we go here under the different pages, you can see that we have the global style guides right here. So for the typography, the colors, and also the components and symbols directly in the design file. So this is actually the way that I would structure it for even potentially a new client, and it's actually really easy to translate from having this file where we have like the designs and the style guides and components all in one single file to this structure right here, which is what I was referring to at the start, simply because you can then divide things up and create a single library which is then synced up with the other files. So for example, here's another example of a design file where we have this design system, and the way that you would sync things up is very easy. You simply have to go under the libraries, and you can literally publish a design system as it is, and then in the individual file you can simply toggle the design systems that you want to have synced up. So for example, this is a design system which I have at the moment, it's Tailwind. If I wanted to have Tailwind under the assets panel and just essentially having it synced up when it comes to the color styles and the text styles, simply to switch this toggle, and I'm going to have it available in this Figma file. So very easy, just takes a few seconds really to sync all of this up. And another thing that I want to mention is this principle of atomic design. And essentially the way that atomic design works, and this is really interesting and useful if you're dealing with design systems, because it's going to give you a mindset and frame of mind as to how to structure this entire thing up. And it's essentially the principles of atoms, molecules, organisms, templates, and pages. So what does that mean? Essentially, atoms are the individual elements of our system. So think about the call to actions, such as the button elements, the form elements, icons, and so on and so forth. So all the individual elements that compose the design system. Now, molecules are a little bit more complicated, meaning that they add different atoms in a composition. So, for example, this can be a element such as this one, where we have the avatar, the names, and the role. And if you go one step further, we're going to find the organisms, which can be UI cards, for example, where we have all sorts of different elements in one. And it goes all the way to templates and pages. And as you can see also over here in this post, which is really interesting, I'm going to leave the link in the description. You can see how red represented the atoms, so all the individual elements right here. The blue represent the molecules, the pink represented the organisms. So start thinking in these ways, and this is going to give you a really solid framework when it comes to making this design system decisions as to what to group together, how to organize the entire file. And I think this was really a game changer for me personally, because it enables to create clarity and add simplicity to the process. So definitely something to keep in mind. And I'm going to leave the link in the description of this as well. So really hope this was helpful, and want to remind you that on my channel I have over 500 videos on UI UX design, so feel free to check it out if you're interested in that, and I'll see you in the next video.